Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. Episode 29. You're on YouTube today. This show is just football everything, NFL history, legacy, the ups and downs of a season, sprinklings of fantasy football. Follow us on Twitter at MUK_football, MUK_football. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Anchor. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit that bell. We have shows Monday after Monday Night Football and Thursday after Thursday Night Football all season long, and we'll be really gearing up for the playoffs here too. But today I want to do a special episode, a Thanksgiving episode. We're going to preview the Thanksgiving games that are coming up and also look back in history. Top 5 Thanksgiving games. And I did not take this lightly. What makes a great Thanksgiving game? I mean, it's just like the American tradition of food. Another great American tradition is great TV, compelling TV. This is not top 5 best box scores in football or the 5 plays you remember and call it the game, the butt fumble game. That wasn't a good game. You just remember the butt fumble. I'm talking about the 5 enjoyable television experiences as football games. And I did not wing this. I really wanted to get this right. Get ready for a lot of talk about the Lions and the Cowboys. So I didn't want to do blowouts. So before we do get to the top 5, we've got to acknowledge some of the great and memorable moments of Thanksgiving, the fantasy performances, the legendary performances, the best, the games that are often remembered as quote unquote the best moments. But were they actually good viewing experiences? You know, we go 2004, Peyton Manning versus the Lions. 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns on his way to 48 for the season. 3 to Harrison, 3 to Stokely. Was anyone really watching the last Marvin Harrison touchdown, waiting to see if he got 6 touchdowns and goes up 41-9? No, it was a blowout. It was a dud. There was also another, while I was doing this, obviously a lot of Pro Football Reference, there's another 6 touchdown game in Thanksgiving history, and it's in the 70s. 1977, Bob Griese, Miami Dolphins quarterback, usually captaining those ground and pound no-name defense Miami Dolphins teams, but in 1977 against the St. Louis Cardinals on Thanksgiving Day, he throws 6 touchdowns. That is astounding for the 70s. Griese, he led the NFL. He led the NFL with 22 touchdowns that year. 22. That was the most touchdowns thrown in the NFL season. 22. And he threw 6 of them on Thanksgiving Day against the St. Louis Cardinals, later the Phoenix Cardinals, later the Arizona Cardinals. This was not a baseball team. We talk about some rookies here. 2012, the RG3 game. Washington, 4 touchdowns, helped them get to the wild card round. That was a centerpiece of his Rookie of the Year campaign. It was stunning. It was beautiful to watch. We didn't know it at the time, but Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, all on the sideline coordinating that. Another famous rookie becoming a superstar in Dallas while Jerry Jones watches from his press box was Randy Moss. 1998, Randy Moss. He took 3 passes from Randall Cunningham on the Vikings, 163 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 receptions, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. Check out episode 1 of the Mukilteo Football Show, where I detailed the joy that this brought my grandma and I as we had Randy Moss on our fantasy team. That was my first year of fantasy football. All downhill from there. There were a bunch of other great fantasy days I wanted to mention. 2008, Eagles, Brian Westbrook, 4 touchdowns. Packers, Sterling Sharp had 4 touchdowns from Brett Favre. 2008 also, Lions. The Lions just got their butts blown off by the Titans in 2008. It was so bad. It was 49-0 or something like that. It was so bad. This was on the way to Detroit's 0-16 season. So bad that the commissioner of the NFL actually had to come out and make an official announcement confirming that, yes, the Lions will keep hosting Thanksgiving, but this issue can be brought up in the future. That's a blowout. The blowout is so bad that the commissioner has to come and say, yes, this team is going to keep playing on Thanksgiving. 2014, I personally enjoyed the Seahawks demolishing the 49ers and Sherman eating the turkey on the 49ers logo. That was fun. 82, Lawrence Taylor, that big turkey moment when he gets the pick six at the goal line against the Lions and the 100-yard run back. I mean, in the short Who Was Lawrence Taylor clip, you always see that one, and that was on Thanksgiving Day. Then there's the butt fumble, and Mark Sanchez's butt fumble in 2010, and by contrast, Tom Brady's perfect day. He had the perfect passer rating that day. And then there's a bunch of Emmitt Smith, a bunch of Barry Sanders. Honestly, they deserve their own episode. I think I'll come back next Thanksgiving, and I'm not just going to keep doing the top 5 every year, right? I think next Thanksgiving, I will just devote the episode purely to Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. Because that was the 90s. The whole 90s was a Barry Sanders morning and an Emmitt Smith afternoon. And a turkey somewhere in there. All right, let's get to the top 5. Top 5 games. And we are talking about good games. Games that are competitive, games that have a great ending, games that are exciting, games that have an impact. And I want to start number 5. We have to start, well, we don't have to. We can do whatever we want. But we're going to start with number 5, 1998, the coin toss game. The coin toss game between the Steelers and the Lions is a controversial topic. Steelers, Cordell Stewart. Lions, Charlie Batch, who later becomes a Steelers backup, longtime Steelers backup for 8 years. It's a thump fest with a bunch of inefficient running, 7 field goals on the way to a 16-16 tie. And then, of course, we get to overtime. A coin toss where Jerome Bettis on TV appears to have said tails. The coin landed heads, and the ref said, "You called heads, Detroit wins, Detroit gets the ball." And the reason given by the ref, and not accepted by anyone else, by the way, not accepted by the media, not accepted by the fans, not accepted by the players, the reason given is the ref said Bettis started to call heads and then changed it to tails, which you can't do. Strangely, Steelers fans, for whatever reason, we don't know, it's a mystery, they just don't carry the same energy about this game as they do about the 2005 Super Bowl. Because you don't hear a lot of, maybe you should have stopped Charlie Batch from driving to the winning field goal. Or Jerome Bettis. Maybe you should have done better than 26 carries for 67 yards. 26 carries for 67 yards. Just got to get that 27th carry. That would have won the game. It is the Pittsburgh media who enhanced the audio. They enhanced the audio and confirmed the referee's contention that Bettis had said heads, tails, and changed it. Bettis eventually agreed to this as well, even though he called it a bald-faced lie at the time and everyone gave the ref total crap. What I did not know, and is really missing from a lot of these conversations when we talk about the coin toss game, is that there's actually, the rule was written down that you cannot change your call. I feel like that is just not mentioned enough. There was a rule that says you cannot change it. No matter what, if you say it first, and then even if you tails before the coin lands, you can't. Because conversationally, if I was in a room throwing a coin up in the air for Jerome Bettis, and he said heads, and then he said tails, no, I want tails before it landed, I would have given it to him. Because he clearly changed his mind. I did not realize there's an actual written rule that you cannot change your mind. I feel like the ref deserves some vindication. And then, of course, we had the good rule change anyway, which was that the call comes before the toss. Simple, easy. I love that rule change. By the way, this was a big Herman Moore game. 148 yards. He was big on the overtime drive. Barry Sanders had an inefficient day, not as bad as Bettis, but he did have the 9-yard run to get into field goal range for Jason Hanson. All right, number 4, top 5 all-time Thanksgiving football games. The 1980 Bears come back over the Lions, staying in the Silverdome here. This was the end of the era, but we're still well within the era of the superstar running back. It's hard to understand. Quarterbacks are superstars now. There's famous running backs, but at this time, running backs were the faces of teams. They were truly the faces of teams. 6-year running back Walter Peyton was the most famous person in the NFL, probably. I mean, O.J. Simpson may have been the other. Franco Harris, who knows? I don't know. Mean Joe Green. But Walter Payton, 6-year superstar versus Lions rookie, first overall pick, Heisman winner, Billy Sims. It was Sims versus Payton. That was the marketing. That was the big deal for this game. And both of them were already over 1,300 yards coming into this game, which was week 13. So they were averaging over 100 yards a game, both these guys. Sims in his rookie year, Payton in his 6th year. Billy Sims is so lost to NFL history. I feel bad for him. He won the Heisman in 78. In 1980, he was a first overall pick. He has an amazing start to his career. 80 and 81. He reaches 1,800 yards and 15 touchdowns in both seasons. 1,800 yards and 15 touchdowns in both of his first 2 years. Then 82 and 83, he's still on the team, 3rd year, 4th year. He has a couple injuries, so he doesn't get the volume stats, but he leads them to the playoffs. And then in 84, he has a knee injury, and he's done. And he's gone. But for a little bit of time, he was right there with Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, Eric Dickerson joined him. But history is so cruel to Sims, because in 1989, another Heisman winner, running back from the same state, not Oklahoma, but Oklahoma State, is drafted by the same team, the Lions, takes the same number 20, and becomes one of the greatest running backs of all time. Number 20 for the Lions is Barry Sanders. Billy Sims is just lost to history, even though he had those great years. But not at this time. Not in 1980. Sims was the new hotness. He was the new superstar. The Heisman winner had come into the NFL, and he was dominating. And Sims and Payton were both rolling in this game. Payton had 123 yards. Sims had 121 yards, including the 47-yard screen pass touchdown that put the Lions up 17-3 going into the fourth quarter. The touchdown was in the first half, but the Lions were winning in the fourth quarter up 17-3. And in 1980, that means the game is done, basically. Especially with the Bears quarterback Vince Evans, not even a good quarterback for the time. And the Bears manage a touchdown. They force the Lions to punt. They get the ball back at their own 5-yard line. They have 95 yards to go with Bears quarterback Vince Evans. And he drives them 91 yards to the 4, and then gets a rushing touchdown with zeros on the clock to tie it up. And you should see them celebrate the extra point. If you YouTube this game, they are absolutely pumped to tie this game up with the extra point. So they get that, and then the Bears win the toss. The Lions kick it off, and the Bears return the kickoff for a touchdown, and they win. And the game's over. Bummer for Billy Sims, bummer for the Lions, but a thrilling ending. You didn't see a lot of 95-yard drives capped by an overtime kickoff return. It was a great game. It was a fun game for Bears fans, not Lions fans. And let's go to number 3, and this one also sucks for the Lions, so sorry, but we'll go once more to Detroit in the Silverdome. The final 2 will be in Dallas, so this is our last visit to Detroit. And this is the 1986 Packers-Lions Walter Stanley game. Punt returner Walter Stanley. A random shootout in the mid-'80s between Detroit quarterback Joe Ferguson and Green Bay quarterback Randy Wright. I can honestly say before doing this episode, I had never heard either of those names in my life. But they both threw 3 touchdowns in this game. There was a ton of points in this game. 7 field goals, 3 touchdowns, 5 turnovers, action. It's a very 80s way of getting to 84 total points, but this game had a lot of action. The highlights are long. That's why it's above the coin toss game. Equally good ending you're going to see, but more action in the game. And the Lions blow this game as well. They had a blocked punt touchdown earlier, and the game ends with this stunning special teams Packers punt return. If you ever want to see Detroit futility personified on screen, go watch this game. Go watch this punt return. Walter Stanley 1986 Packers. Maybe just YouTube Walter Stanley 1986 Packers, or find the highlights of this game and skip to the end. The Lions load up for a punt block. They rush 10. One guy is back, and it's Walter Stanley. The Lions have like 7 or 8 guys in front of Stanley. Stanley fakes like he's going to the left and does a quick loop back to the right and up the sideline. And every Lion falls for that one move. They all fall for it. Quite literally, 7, maybe 8 Lions without a blocker between them all go past Stanley, and Stanley hits up the sideline for a touchdown. And the Lions have blown it again, and the Packers win. Packers return the punt. They win 44-41. Stanley had 2 other touchdowns in this game, and then 3 more for the rest of his career. So he was a Thanksgiving star, a one-time star. But he's not even the biggest one-time Thanksgiving wonder on this list, because we have to get to the game that is often called the best game, or most memorable game of Thanksgiving. At least it was when I was a kid in the 90s, and this game was 20 years old at that time. Now it's 40 years old. It is the 1974 Clint Longley game. Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback Clint Longley comes in for Roger Staubach and leads them back to a victory over the Washington Redskins at the time, Washington football team now. The Cowboys, hey, they've been blessed at quarterback. Staubach, Aikman, Romo, now they have Dak. But every once in a while, on Thanksgiving, the Dallas backup has to come in and shine. There's a Dallas tradition. Romo had it. Romo got hurt. Kitna came in 2010 and went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees in that 2010 Thanksgiving Day game. The Super Bowl defending champion Saints. They got rocked by John Kitna. I think they actually then lost, but they put up a fight. An unexpected fight. And then 94, Troy Aikman was hurt. Jason Garrett, yes, that Jason Garrett, came in for Aikman and won the game over Brett Favre. The Sterling Sharp Packers won a shootout. So a Dallas Cowboy backup quarterback coming in has become a tradition, and it started with Clint Longley, the Mad Bomber from Abilene Christian. Another reason this game is so good is just because the anecdotal and just the way the story is just told. He's the Mad Bomber from Abilene Christian out of nowhere. He was picked in the supplemental draft. And the Washington football team, they had a strategy that they openly talked about, which was to knock out Roger Staubach. It was openly discussed before and after the game to the press as a strategy. Knock out, referring to what we today would call give him a concussion. Make him lose consciousness. They weren't talking about snapping his knee or anything. They weren't talking about hurting him. At the time, and right or wrong, it was just thought of different. I mean, this is what happened. I don't know what to tell you. This is what people thought. They thought it was just getting your bell rung. They thought it was just you need to shake out the cobwebs. It was unacceptable to come out of a game if you're woozy. If you didn't hurt your knee, why are you out of the game? And they would say it on the broadcast. Oh, he got his bell rung. He needs to get back in there. Everybody gets the bell rung. And some players have confirmed there's actually a bounty on Staubach in this game, like a $200 bounty or whatever. I don't know what to tell you. It's what happened. They were also named the Redskins at the time. If you watch the broadcast, they called them the Redskins. So they knocked out Staubach in the third quarter. Someone collected the $200, and Dallas had to bring in this rookie, no-name Clint Longley from Abilene Christian from the supplemental draft. And at the time, the Redskins were up 17-3. There seemed to be no hope. It's the third quarter, and Washington really needed this game, too, to go up 2 games in the NFC East. They needed this game. If the Cowboys won, then they would be, it would be like a 2-game catch-up for the Cowboys. So Longley comes in and just starts slinging the ball. 2 touchdown drives. He just leads 2 touchdown drives straight down, long ones, too, to bring Dallas within 1 point. Washington bounces back, regains their focus. They score. There's a field goal block in here as well by Too Tall Jones. But in the days, just like I said, in the days where the passing game wasn't that efficient, a 6-point lead was considered to be enough. So it's at the 2-minute warning. The Cowboys have the ball. 2 minutes to go. Roger Staubach is in the locker room or wherever he was doing smelling salts. And it's hopeless. It's first down, second down, third down. Now it's fourth down. Under a minute left to go. Washington, D.C.'s feeling good. And they need this because this is right after the Nixon Watergate scandal. The Capitol needs this. It's fourth down, and Longley converts it. The game is not over. Converts to 4th and 6, gets to the 50-yard line. There's 35 seconds left. And then the play that is on the Thanksgiving highlight reels, they're from the 50-yard line, and Longley just drops back, and he's like, what do I got to lose? And bombs it deep down the sideline to Drew Pearson. Caught. Touchdown. The Cowboys win the game. And Longley never played significant time for the Cowboys ever again. Apparently, he sucker punched Roger Staubach a couple years later and was traded to San Diego. That adds to the legend of the game. Just weird. The thrill of this underdog rookie taking on the Hogs of DC. They were a great team at that time, and then vanishing forever after this. That's why it's number 2, because it was thrilling in the moment. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? What is that college? Why does he have a nickname called the Mad Bomber already? And where did he ever go? Never started another game, never did nothing. Came in for some mop-up duty, but nothing. Quite interesting. All right, number 1. Number 1 Thanksgiving game of all time. I think everybody knows where we're going with this. It is the 1993 Leon Lett Snow Bowl between the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. And, the first memorable component of this game is the fact that the field in Dallas was ice and snow. Covered. They did not clear this field. It was covered in ice and snow. A winter storm. A wild Texas blue norther, as Waylon Jennings would call it. The play conditions were slow. It was truly covered. And this is the Cowboys. This is Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Jimmy Johnson coaching right in between their 2 Super Bowl victories over the Bills. And it's not Dan Marino. Dan Marino's not in this game. He had a torn Achilles in week 6 of this year. This was Steve DeBerg for Miami. And a lot of running backs for Miami, Keith Byers, Terry Kirby. DeBerg was no rando. He wasn't a Clint Longley. He wasn't a Walter Stanley. DeBerg was a long-time quarterback. He was actually the 49ers starter before they got Joe Montana. So he started a couple years, and then Joe Montana came. He was also the Broncos starter before they got John Elway. And then he started like another 100 games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, he was the 9th overall career passing yards leader during this game, during this 93 Snow Bowl. He was not a nobody. 9th overall all-time in passing yards. He's now 35th. He was 34th 48 hours ago, but Andy Dalton passed him with that screen pass to Mooney. Okay, we're getting off track. Anyway, the second memorable component to this game, despite the fact that it was snowing and ice in Texas, the second memorable component is the wild ending, the famous ending. Miami down 1 with 3 minutes to go. Dallas 14, Miami 13. They need a drive with a field goal. The Texas snows all over the field. And Miami gets moving. Well, actually, what I did not recall is actually they fumble at first and lose the game or lose the ball. Dallas gets it, goes 3 and out, and misses a field goal. And then Miami gets it again. I forgot about that. I did not remember that, but I watched the highlights for this. So their second chance with 3 minutes to go, needing to drive for a field goal in these crazy snow conditions, they drive and they move slowly. They get a couple huge plays, 2 big plays, a screen and a slant to Byers, redemption for his fumble earlier, and they set up this 40-yard field goal for Stojakovic. Now, the game's about over. Stojakovic is in the snow. They're clearing an area for him. They're trying to get it, but you can see it's even hard to scrape it off of the AstroTurf. It is just iced. It is truly, truly bad conditions. And He kicks it, doesn't really get his footing, and Dallas blocks it. Dallas blocks the kicks. The Cowboys stadium is rocking. Aikman and Smith are hugging. Jerry Jones got his hands in the air. But you've seen this. I don't know why I'm describing it in such detail. People have seen it. But wait, the blocked kick is rolling towards the Miami end zone, and a Dallas defensive lineman named Leon Lett, already famous for losing the touchdown to Don Beebe, celebrating too early, Leon Lett tries to recover it. And it's bouncing around, and Miami gets it. Because he just fails to recover it, and Miami gets it. He shouldn't touch the ball. The famous play. Had he not touched the ball, Dallas wins, and time is over. And the refs, they sort this out for about 12 minutes. And the call is eventually Leon Lett muffed a return, technically, and Miami recovered at the 1. No, the 7. No, the 1. They go through like 12 minutes of real time trying to figure out what exactly happened. Meanwhile, this is an aspect I didn't really remember. Not that I remember this game, but I know about it really well, and I've watched the highlights before. Meanwhile, Doug Peterson, the holder for Miami's kicker, he's just scraping ice and just trying to dig down a clear, dry spot for Stojakovic this whole time while the refs are talking. He makes some progress at the 1 and then the 7, then back at the 1. Clever move from the man who 26 years later would call the Philly special. So we are talking about the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, Super Bowl champion. The short field goal is up and in. Dolphins win. The Leon Lett blunder is forgiven because the Cowboys win the Super Bowl later that year. All right, top 5 Thanksgiving games. We are done. Surprised to not see any games from the 21st century on my list. So maybe we'll do another episode next Thanksgiving about best games of the 21st century. Best Thanksgiving games of the 21st century. And we also have to do the Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders episode. And, who knows? We could do a Matt Stafford, Tony Romo episode because they were sharing Thanksgiving for a long time. So now we're going to take a quick break, and then we will come back and preview the 3 Thanksgiving Day games coming up. Going to be number 1, 2, and 3 on this list on Friday. Bye.